So this video is about editing pictures and drawings in Google Docs. Because everything is digital, a lot of the time that you would normally do a handwritten drawing for a normal class, in High C you'll be asked to edit the drawing digitally. Google Docs is actually a pretty easy tool to use to do this, particularly once you know sort of the tips and tricks. So this video is going to take you through some of those tips and tricks to edit pictures and drawings that you may need to put in some of your assignments that are based in Google Docs. So let's say I get an assignment that asks me to draw a Bohr model of a carbon atom that has 6 protons in the nucleus, 6 neutrons in its nucleus, and 6 electrons, 2 in the first energy level, 4 in the second. So right now I'm not expecting you to know the chemistry behind all of this, but if you were to do this by hand, the drawing would look something like this. You'd have a nucleus with 6 protons and 6 neutrons, you have a first energy level with 2 electrons, and you have a second energy level with 2 electrons. Now obviously you don't have a fancy tool like I do to draw these things, so you're going to have to do those drawings in Google Docs. The way you're going to do this is you're going to put the cursor on your Google Doc in the location that you want your drawing to be, and then you're going to hit this button that says Insert at the top of the page, which is right up here. Once you hit the button that says Insert at the top of the page, you're going to select Drawing, and then you're going to select New, and it's going to take you to a drawing screen. The drawing screen looks like this, and it's its own window within a Google Doc, but in a separate screen. So you're only editing your drawing when you're in the drawing screen. So I'm going to begin editing this drawing by adding my circles to indicate the nucleus and those energy levels. So what I want to do is pick this tool right here, which is the shape tool. It brings me to different shapes I can do, like arrows or callouts. And the one I want is pretty simple. It's this circle one right here. So I'm going to click this button right here, then this, and then the circle. Once I pick the circle, I'm given a tool with the mouse. The mouse is actually going to be on one of these corners right here, and I can drag the circle as big as I want. Notice that once I drag the circle, it's actually going to default it to a black outline for the circle, the black border, and this kind of weird, ugly blue color that's in the middle of the circle for a fill-in. And when I'm done, my circle looks just like this. Now that I've chosen the size of the circle that I want, I can always go back and edit it later. Notice that it actually defaults to put you onto this little mouse tool, which is right here. That little mouse tool, if you were to click on the circle itself, you'd get the box back and you could redo the size by just dragging it with your mouse. So I've clicked on the circle, and the reason that I've clicked on the circle is not because I want to resize it, but because I actually hate the blue circle inside. It makes it hard to see anything you want to put inside the circle, so I'm going to change it to a white. So what I did was just click on the circle with the mouse tool. Once I clicked on the circle, what I did was I went up here with the paint can, and it allows me to color inside the circle whether I want the inside a solid fill, which I do right now. It's this solid fill, that blue, or I want a gradient, or I can even make it transparent, which gives it no fill and lets it be see-through. So if you layer other shapes on top of it, you can see those shapes. So what I did for this one is I actually selected the white circle right here, and it's going to fill in white. So here's my finished white circle with a black border, and my nucleus is complete. And now I can go add additional circles for the energy levels. So at this point I've added a second circle. It's actually a little bigger than my first circle, which is why you can't see it, because this circle still has that blue fill on it, and it's not a transparent fill. So therefore the original smaller circle is actually behind it, but that's okay. I'll show you how to fix it in a second. So this time what I did was I clicked on that second circle and kept it solid, but picked this button that said transparent under this fill paint can. And when I do that, notice now the circles become transparent, and this original circle right here suddenly appears again. So now what I've done is pretty simple. I've actually just clicked back on the mouse tool right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start to move and resize these circles so they line up and look a little prettier. That's just me being a perfectionist. What I have now is fine, but I like to get everything lined up nice and neat. At this point, I've added a third circle, made it transparent, and moved everything. So now I have my basic outline of my Bohr model, and all I really have left to do is put in the protons, neutrons, and electrons. So if you remember from my initial drawing in the very first part of this presentation, I actually wrote out 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and drew X's for the 6 electrons. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to insert those as text boxes, and the text box tool sits up at the top right here, so you just click on it. As soon as you click on it, if you click anywhere inside of this screen, kind of where the rest of the drawing is, it'll make a text box for you. So this is the text box that I appeared. It's this one right here. It appeared as soon as I clicked on the screen, so there it is. I'm also able to edit the font type by picking right here and the font size by picking here. So in this case, it defaults you to Arial 14, but I kind of wanted Times New Roman because I thought it would look better. And I'm going to resize the font so that everything that I write for protons and neutrons fits nicely into the circle that I have representing the nucleus right there. So I started this one at a size of 10, which seems a little small, but I've typed in 6 protons, 6 neutrons. Once I'm done typing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this mouse tool again, and I'm going to drag this box into the nucleus where it goes. And there this box is, hanging out in the nucleus right here. It is a little small, so I'm going to up the size maybe to 14 or even perhaps 18, just so it fits right according to what I think looks right in the drawing. My next step is that I actually use the text box tool and a copy paste tool to create these X's that represent the electrons. All I have to do once they're created is once again use this mouse tool and drag them into their appropriate locations on the diagram so that it actually looks like the correct Bohr model I wanted to draw. So now I've moved the electrons, they're in their correct position. Notice they're here, 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 and here. My drawing looks like what I want, it's completely done. So the next thing I'm going to do is hit this button that says Save and Close. Once I'm done with the drawing, it's going to save it as a single piece of art and it's going to save and close. Once it's saved and closed, notice that my drawing has now been inserted into my Google Doc exactly where I wanted it, and I have the picture I need to move on with the assignment. If I don't like the way the picture looks or want to add something to it or change its size, I can click on the picture. And when I click on this picture, the corner pieces to drag it around occur again. So if I click on it, I could do something like center it on the page. The other thing that's really cool is below here, there's this edit tool. If I click on this edit tool, it actually takes me back to the drawing screen and I can add new stuff to this picture. So I wanted to briefly talk about adding pictures from the web to your Google Docs. The reason being, you can right click on the picture, copy it, and then paste it right into the Google Doc. But if you do that, it's not editable. The better way to do it is to actually go through the drawing tool like we did before. So what I'm going to do is show you how I would add a picture from the web of a carbon atom or a Bohr model of a carbon atom to this document. So this is a picture of a carbon atom Bohr model. I found it online, and all I did really simply was copy the image right here. Once I copied the image, I went right back to Insert, Drawing, New. I want to put it here, so my cursor is in this part of the document, and I'm ready to put the image into the document drawing tool. So notice that I'm in the drawing tool once now, and all I did was hit Control V to paste. It's really important that you know Control V equals paste, particularly on the Mac. And I pasted that picture that I took from the web right inside of this drawing tool. And of course, with the picture, you get other fun tools. Notice all this stuff that appeared right here that wasn't there before. This one adds a border. So if you notice, I added this like lime green border. This one right here is border thickness. You can also do things like crop the image or rotate the image, or even if you don't like that image, replace it with something else. So you have a lot of choices with a picture. The other cool stuff, though, is that all these things that you had before are also still here. So if I wanted to put a text box and write on this image, or mark it up, or draw arrows, or do anything else to it, I still have that ability because I'm inside of this drawing tool. And of course, when I'm done, what I'm going to do is hit this Save and Close button right there. Once I hit Save and Close, there's the picture inside my Google Doc with all its glory, including its beautiful green border. And you can see my cursor is actually still on the screen. My cursor is right here. Once again, if you click on the picture that you put into your Google Doc, you still get this editing tool. You can center it. You can do all the stuff you did with the other drawing you made all by yourself. But everything is there. That's why the drawing tool is really such a great tool to use to add pictures and make drawings inside your Google Docs. As always, if you have any questions on how to put images into your Google Docs or use the drawing tool, come find me. I'm happy to help you. I will say that this Google Doc drawing tool is something that takes a little bit of time to learn and get good at, but once you are, it's really, really handy for editing Google Docs and not having to do things by hand.